Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of PDPMO. I am your host Richard, and today I'm going to be discussing the 2018 release, The Happytime Murders. This was a movie I actually just watched. It came up on Netflix. Shout out Netflix. And it stars Melissa McCarthy, and it is a movie about puppets. It's if you haven't heard about this movie, just a brief synopsis. It's puppets and humans coexist in the world. It's just part of everyday life, and the story goes from there. So the movie itself is from Henson Alternative, the studio. So that technically makes it a Muppet movie, but please know this is not a movie for children. This is highly inappropriate. But whether or not I liked it, I will let you know. I love this movie. I laughed so hard. I thought it was super funny. Is it a good movie? No. I can't say like it's like the puppetry is amazing. Like what they did there, but this is just one of those movies that just tickled my funny bone. There have been some shock value movies over the year that have tried a Sausage Party comes to mind. Sausage Party, I hated. Like I hated Sausage Party. I haven't like disliked a movie that much in a very long time, but Sausage Party for me was terrible. For this one, again, PDPMO, please don't piss me off. I went in not expecting anything. I didn't expect it to be good, bad. I didn't know what to expect. But yeah, it's funny. It's inappropriate, wildly inappropriate. But that's part of what made it funny for me. So yeah, if you have a chance, check it out. If you don't like it, I know why. But for me, it really made me laugh really hard. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Happytime Murders. All right, so we're going to dive into now. So if you don't want to know anything more, go check it out. Or if you just don't really care about the movie, then, maybe don't watch it. But now we're going to get into the spoilers. So Happytime Murders, Melissa McCarthy plays a detective, and she is forced to partner up with her former partner, who is a puppet, to investigate a series of murders that appear to be centered around a TV show starring puppets. So, Happy Time. So, I can't really go on too much about the storyline of this movie because, with the exception of it being about puppets, they're not breaking any ground rules. It's just, like the animosity between the former partners, investigating a series of murders. The story itself is nothing original, which is why I can't really say it's a good movie. But I thought it was really funny, and the wizardry of the puppetry is the real story here, because when you get to the end of the movie, during the end credits, there's actually they show a little bit of how it's filmed, and when you see like what they had to do to get these puppets to be so lifelike and animated is just amazing. I tried to place the voices of the various puppets, but it turns out it's actually voiced by the puppeteers. So it's not big names. A lot of these puppeteers actually worked on the Muppet show. So that's why it is technically a Muppet movie. There's there's a lot of like gratuitous violence, but of course it's like, fluff, because it's it's tough to explain. There is one sex scene, but I mean, if you've seen Team America, the stuff that's in Team America was worse than the stuff that's in the Happy Time Murders. I'm a huge fan of Team America. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I will eventually get to that review. Team America had a lot more political satire and stuff like that. This is a straight by the numbers cop story with puppets as the funny thing. One thing I will say with Melissa McCarthy, I find Melissa McCarthy very hit and miss for me, simply because her and I would say Will Ferrell as well, in that you can tell when they go off script. Because typically, I mean, they're both incredibly funny people, and I'm sorry to drag Will Ferrell into this, but when I make this point, you'll see why. They're very funny people, and a lot of their gold comes from the stuff that's not in the script. Because typically, what a director will do is a director will keep the camera on them, and they will just start going off, right? And they'll go, and eventually those, the director and the editor will get together and splice together the funniest bits, because sometimes these guys are just funny, making it up as they go. But in a case like, say, Ghostbusters Answer the Call, it seemed like that was the entire script. Like, it was just four incredibly funny women. I actually spoke on this when I reviewed Ghostbusters Afterlife. Four incredibly funny women, and it just seemed like the director said, "Okay, be funny," and there was no actual script. I didn't feel that way in this performance. And sorry, just to wrap up the Will Ferrell part. Will Ferrell's the same way, in that, when you see, like, even in the movies I like the most, like Anchorman, you can tell when he goes off script. But I think it's because I think they've gone to the well too many times on that one, and it's why movies like Stranger Than Fiction is probably my favorite Will Ferrell movie, and probably, in my opinion, his best, because it really got to showcase him as a talent, and a little bit more of his acting as opposed to just his improv stuff. Melissa McCarthy, don't get me wrong, she's not like, breaking any barriers. She has done some amazing work in the past, but I didn't feel that it was overly improv. It was funny, sure. There's a couple of times when she just, does the Melissa McCarthy act, but getting to play off of a puppet is actually, it works for me. I'm not really going to get into like the pacing or anything like that, because again, it's a movie about puppets trying to solve a crime. Like, it's just good fun. Shut your brain off. Have a few laughs. A large part of the laughs comes from, like, just puppets doing very unpuppet things. Like, the detective very early on, breaks up this little ring where they're gathering puppet feet from around the world, and he just goes off with a crowbar and, like, attacks this guy and, like, repeatedly kicking him in the nuts. Not exactly like highbrow intellectual humor, but sometimes that works, right? Like, you don't need to be like, you don't have to have this, cerebral comedy. Sometimes you just like a good old fashioned belly laugh by watching a guy get kicked in the nuts by a puppet. What can you ask for? Like, literally, what more can you ask for? I really enjoyed Happytime Murders. I'm going to show it to my kids before anybody, like, freaks out. Like, I mean, my youngest kid is 14, and, while it's, like, not appropriate for 14-year-olds, they've seen worse already. I mean, they have the internet. But so the kids are interested in seeing it. I'll show it to them, and again, like, the gratuitous stuff, like, there's sex, but it's puppets, and it's not like, again, like Team America. Like, if any of you out there have seen the stage play Avenue Q, right along that kind of right up that avenue, and I saw Avenue Q. I laughed my ass off, like I couldn't breathe. And so I was kind of hoping this would be like an Avenue Q type situation, viewing experience. It was. I mean, it was ratchet. It was amped up a little bit, more than what the Avenue Q thing. I mean, the sex scene. Let's just say there's a lot of silly string involved, like unnecessarily, like over the top, hilarious. But if you're easily offended, this is not the movie for you. And yeah, just a lot of just breakdown, like laughing fits for me. I loved it. I'm looking forward to watching it again. I'll probably end up buying it because eventually it'll go off the streaming services. But yeah, huge fan of Happy Time Murders. And again, what I usually do is once I'm done a movie, I look into it and see what the rest of the world is thinking about and seeing if I'm right. And no, apparently I am in the minority of this one. It does not score well on anything. Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, you name it, it does not score well. But again, it's not a good movie. It's just really funny. So give it a watch. Again, shut your brain off. Tis what tis. Um, I hope you guys like it. I'd love to hear back your comments if you get around to watching this one. But yeah, for me, Melissa McCarthy, Happy Time Murders. Elizabeth Banks is in it. She's wonderful. She's not in it. Doesn't have a huge role, but she's wonderful. Stanley from The Office. Hey, he's still out there. So it was nice seeing him. So yeah, Happy Time Murders. Loved it. Hilarious. Bad movie. Really funny. Check it out. Thank you guys for stopping by once again. I love talking movies with you guys. Keep the recommendations coming. I'd love to hear some of your favorite movies that you'd like me to take a crack at. Especially if it's like movies that maybe, it's kind of a guilty pleasure, or if it's a movie that maybe not too many people have heard of and you'd like to get out there. I would love to give it a shot. And yeah, so feel free to click like, subscribe. Feel free to share these videos. You have my permission. And let's keep the conversation going, because talking about movies is a wonderful thing. And talking about art in general is a wonderful thing. So thank you guys for joining my conversation, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.